Three. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Advantage podcast. We are powered by the Wells Funding Group. I'm Dennis Wells. I'm here with Rafay Qamar. He is an experienced multi-million-dollar real estate agent and founder of the, am I saying that right? The Qamar Group?
Qamar Group, yeah.
Qamar
You're
Group.
saying
Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Really impressed with what you've been doing and love to introduce you to the audience even more. So.
I love it. Thank you for having me here, Dennis. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, you bet. So how did you get involved in the real estate world?
Going on a little over a decade in real estate, collectively as a team and solo entrepreneur, collectively sold close to $600 million worth of real estate, about $500 million as a team operator. I've owned two Remax franchise offices in my past as well in that 10-year span. Going back to how I got in the business, I'm an immigrant, so I moved to US in '05 and got done with the degrees and everything, and went to DePaul University for business administration and finance. And freshman, sophomore year, got into banking and thought that was the path I wanted to pursue, finance and banking. And my degree was in business administration and finance as well. So, climbed the corporate ladder, and portions and parts of that I enjoyed and parts of that I did not. I just didn't like the fact that there was always a glass ceiling, and your career was in someone else's hand. Whether you got promoted or not, whether you interviewed properly or not, someone else was always a decision maker. And for about 5 years, I did that. And towards the end of it, I think it was 2013, I was ranked as one of the top bankers nationwide. I worked for BMO, which is used to be Harris Bank, then merged and became BMO Harris Bank. And I assisted with the merger and acquisition as well. So did a variety of roles over there, but just never was gratifying. Just at the end of the day, it was a standard 9 to 5. Never thought I was making a difference or moving a needle personally, or for the betterment of anything. So it was, I believe, August or October of 2013. I came back home, and it was one of the long days, and it was one of those early fall kind of evenings, and just tired, and would take public transportation because the offices were in downtown. And got back and turned on the TV, and on came Bravo TV, and one of the shows, $1 Million Listing. It was one of the first episodes, season 1 or season 2. It was Josh Flagg, this 18-year-old kid back then. This is how back it goes. He was 18 or 19-year-old kid, and negotiating these incredible deals, wearing these incredible suits. And I'm like, wow, so it instantly just captured my attention. And then they started displaying the commission checks, a potential commission that he was going to earn. And this was in thousands, tens of 40, 50, 60, 70, $100,000 commissions per deal. And that's when I just started noticing and realizing that something is just not right with my trajectory here. And I'm like, wow, this kid is making 50, 60 grand per transaction. I mean, I barely make that much, working my behind off, and something's not right here. The scale is off. So that's the week. I remember I got one of those, Dennis, if you remember those big post-it, yellow post-it notes sort of things, right? For presentation. Yeah. We had one at the office, at the bank. And I got there early, and I was just kind of thinking, I'm like, all right, let me make a Y and an X scale.
Yeah.
Right. And this is, again, the finance background that's coming in play. And I'm like, all right, on the X scale, I'll write down the items that are in price point. Right. This is like price point goes up, or rather, frequency of them. So you have cell phones, you have cars or bikes and cars, you have homes, then you've got yachts, and you've got airplanes, and stuff like that. So it goes up in frequency, and then on the other side, it's the volume of that. How much are they traded on maybe monthly basis or yearly basis or daily basis? And then at the bottom, it was a cell phone, which was traded really in high frequency, but the compensation was not as much. And on the very high side, these mega yachts that are really, really high payouts, but then the frequency is very low. People aren't going buying yachts
Right.
every single day. But somewhere in the middle on that X and Y grid was residential real estate,
Yep.
which everyone needs a roof above their head. It's transacted in quite high frequency, and the compensation is good as well. So I thought maybe that is something that's a message and a sign from above that, okay, maybe I'm supposed to be in residential sales. And I think it was the same week I got signed up and for license, and I took my exam and I cleared that. I think the first time around I missed it by a couple of points. I underestimated the power and the how much you needed to actually study and understand all the sort of verbiage and definitions and math and everything, and then took it the next week, cleared it both national and state, and then got my license. This was back in December 2013. Really, I got my license 2014, and found one of the most at that time. This is how naive I was. I'm like, all right, what's the most expensive zip code? And that was the North Shore New Trier District. And I'm like, all right, let me find something in Winnetka and Kenilworth area, something, because obviously that's what I want to transact, and I'm just going to have deals coming in all day long. So let's just go and hold my license there. So it was Coldwell Banker office at that time, and this was 2014, and far from it. That does not, like, if you just hold your license, the call, they're not going to start coming in. You're going to have to like pick up the phone, and you're going to have to work the database and spare. And I think those were some of the years where the floor call was still something. I think it was the last year maybe, and after that it just kind of went away. But those floor calls were coming in. And I took a couple of clients, but for the most part, it was me hosting open houses and everything. But anyway, first year, about $10 million in sales. Second year, about $15 million in sales. And I just noticed that it was better for me to open up my own franchise.
Yeah.
So I became a broker owner of first Remax office. That was in 2015 in Skokie. And we built it up. We had about 27 agents, and we were organization wide doing about $30, $40 million. And then in 2017, I opened up my second franchise office. It was called Remax Next, and that was in West Loop. And the idea was to have an urban suburban bridge for our clients that are in suburbs and who are trying to move to the city, and vice versa. So we have a
Yeah.
bridge. That was kind of the idea of that. And collectively, I think before I parted ways and sold those franchises to my partners, we had about 100 so million dollars of organizational volume, and about 40 agents collectively, or 40 or
Wow.
50 agents. But writing on the wall, Dennis, I just realized that the future of real estate wasn't in brick and mortar. It wasn't in owning brokerages. It was in mega teams, and it was operating at a high level, and was really transacting with clients at a higher level, and providing that service, and providing the expertise that is not readily available. So that's when my now partner, Jana Pierce, shout out to her. She's the COO of our business, and she's the operational implementer. And we started a small team. It was her, myself, and then two part-timers, and we did about 35 million. 2019, it was the year. 2020, we did about 70 million. 2021, we did 115 million, and then since then we've been that 100 million team.
Yeah.
Today we have about 36 real estate agents in our organization, and we're on track to do about 140, 150 million dollars this year as well.
I love it. I love it. So a lot to unpack there. You really piqued my curiosity. So immigrating, what impact did that have on you in your development of your entrepreneurialism and, obviously seizing opportunities that you saw in front of you?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, for me, it was just, it's kind of burning all the boats. There was no looking back.
Right.
Right. So I didn't have a sphere of influence. I didn't have past clients. I didn't have, Rolodex that my father left me with, or his friends or family. So for me, it was, this is it. Whatever I do, this is it. There's no, that put your blinders on. And 2014, I remember, ignorance is bliss. And I've shared this story a few times, but I didn't have any database or clients or past clients. I had moved to Chicago in 20 or just to Skokie, the suburb I was living in 2013. So I didn't have any sphere of influence over there as well. So I picked up one of those yellow pages. You remember those books, the yellow
Yeah.
pages, the books, And I'm like, I cracked it open. I'm like, well, it's got a lot of names. It's got phone numbers. It's got addresses. And I don't know if it's legal or not, but I'm just going to call them.
Yeah.
And 'cause I had a very strict NDA with the bank. I couldn't call any of my past clients over there. So the script was pretty simple. I just called them and I said, hey, my name is Rafay. I just got my real estate license. I'm a local realtor. Do you know anyone looking to buy or sell? That's it. And I
Wow.
did that and I said that and I said it 100 times, 200 times a day. And within, I think, a seventh call down, boom, just like that, it was one of my clients who's still a client to this day, Dr. Justin Group. He's a chiropractor out of Glenview. He's like, why don't you come over? I'm interviewing a couple of real estate agents. You can come and take a look and give me your opinion. And I got that listing, and and that's how the journey began. And I realized the importance of the fact that there are a lot more people buying and selling real estate that I do not know than the people that I do know. So
Yeah.
if you have a big enough database and you got to keep adding people to it, then you can build a very solid business. And if you have five, six, 700 names and you're nurturing and showering love on that database, well, then you have a proper business, right? So
Right.
until
Right.
then, you can build it. So you got to prospect and you got to think outside the box and you got to add people to it. And eventually you'll get to a point where you don't have to go and hunt for business anymore. You can just nurture the business.
Right. Right. Yeah. I've heard it said that, in our business, everybody can really be a client, because, either they, have a home and they're wanting to know, well, gee, how much is my house worth? Or, they're wanting to have a home. And so, it gives you a lot of opportunities for sure.
Well, that's a
Um,
great point because everyone is a client. You're right, unless they're homeless. I mean, that happens too. But I mean, right? Everyone needs a roof above their head. Either they're a
yep.
tenant, or they're a buyer, or they're a seller. They're relocating, or they're looking to, and every single
Hmm.
buyer ends up becoming a seller as well. So then, the moment you help them purchase, instantly day two, the next day, they're now a seller, potential seller,
Yep.
right? You just have to work with them and nurture and provide them the data and the CMAs to make sure when it is time, they're reaching out to you.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And nurturing, I think, is a huge part. Because someone might not be ready right now,
That's right.
but that doesn't mean that, they're not going to be ready in 6 months or a year, because there's always, you know, life changes, and, so for me, I know it's just, a big part of my business is, keeping up with clients I've already helped and, looking for opportunities there, whether it's, you know, if they're looking to move to, get into a better school system, or maybe they got a promotion at work or whatever, and always looking for those opportunities to, connect them back with a realtor that, that sent them over in the first place. So
100%. Absolutely.
yeah,
It's a four D's, right? That's diapers, diamonds, death, divorce,
yeah,
uh, right? So degree. You can put a fifth one as well if you want.
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely. Um, it sounds like you do a lot of time thinking and strategizing about your business, and not just like your business in particular, but where the business is going. Um, can you share a little bit about how that looks for you?
yeah, so our vision. So we're very clear on our vision. Our vision is to become the first billion-dollar real estate team by 2028. So that's our
Okay.
vision as the group, and the troops and the team members are 100% behind that. They back it up, and then we're building every single day, coming to the office with a mission and an objective to get there, and
Yeah.
all that while providing an elevated level of customer service experience where clients don't think they're just a transaction. It's not a
Right.
transactional business, it's a relationship business, but
Right.
we want to do it at a high frequency as well, right? So that's our vision to become the first billion-dollar real estate team across 4 states, and that's Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Missouri. Those are
Okay.
the markets that we want to tap into. If you talk about sub-tier markets, there's Chicago, there's Milwaukee market, there's Grand Rapids market in Michigan, there's St. Louis market in Missouri.
Yeah.
Those are the hubs. And again, if we fortify and control it well enough and we can do a better job of marketing ourselves, well, then there's enough intra team business that'll be back and forth that'll be a good part of that billion-dollar mark, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of the objective. But then we're also part of Real Broker now. It's a cloud-based model. It's the first time we've been associated with cloud-based model, and we run one of the largest teams for real in Midwest right now, and
Okay.
sales and volume. And we're very excited about it, Dennis, because that's where I think the future is headed in this cloud-based world.
Hmm.
Because with the commission compression, with the fact that the agents are paying a lot more, they have to justify the brick and mortar and the human capital. And then you throw commission compression on top of that. The
Hmm.
splits going down and the fees are going up, right? So that there's a divide there, which is just getting the margins are getting slimmer and slimmer, especially if you're trying to operate it the way we're trying to operate, which is a brokerage within a brokerage. So for us,
Hmm.
finding that right platform was very, very important, which gives us the flexibility to A, operate the business we want to, but B, there's also enough ancillary income coming in where you do one transaction, but then there's multiple streams of income coming in. So right
Yep.
now, for us at Real, I mean, when we transact on a deal, there's about 5 different ways we get paid on that within real estate realm. But then you can take it a step further. One thing we're doing here, you're talking about vision. We want to create our office, which our headquarters in Evanston. We have a 9,000 square foot private office space over here. We want to turn this into a true one-stop shop where we have a title company, which
Hmm.
exists. It's actually about a year old. Next week. So we're very excited about that as well. It's called Fortress Title. We've done north of 100 orders with them, and it's a beautiful partnership with Real Estate World. Partnership in insurance, partnership in mortgage business,
Hmm.
partnership in security business, ADT or franchise or whatever. So there's so
Yep.
many opportunities within real estate where if you transact, there should be multiple streams coming in as well. And that's going to be critical in having longevity in our business because I'm of the belief that we've got maybe 7 or 10 years left in this business before 70 to 80% of brokers will be out of business completely.
Hmm.
Be displaced, right? They
Yeah.
won't keep up with the trends. They won't keep up with the demand. They won't keep up with the tech. And it's really going to be that 20% that's going to control the market, 80, 90% of the market completely. They're going to stay in the
Yep.
business. So I do think there's going to be a mass eradication of this. We're the travel agents of 2030, 2040.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the good ones are still there. People still use
Right.
them for complex flights and travels and whatnot. But for the most part, a consumer can just go and transact online. And I think that's where the market is also headed. And I
Hmm.
think the East and West Coast have figured out how much money there is in real estate and there's demand. So I'm not saying, again, the affluent clients will be doing that. I'm just saying the median transaction, it'll be easier to do that.
Hmm.
But that's where we have to step up and prove our worth and provide better education and understanding and
Yeah.
expertise to all the consumers, letting them know the value of a real estate agent. So there are a lot of threats out there to an average realtor, but
Right.
experts like yourself and experts like us and some of my other friends out of Chicago and all around the United States, I mean, they'll stick around because they have, they have what it takes to explain and educate, but then they're also keeping up with all the trends and tactics that are necessary to keep us in business.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of benefits to the technology. I think one of the things that we learned out of the COVID experience is how effective people can be working remotely. And so I think that feeds in to what you're talking about with the more of the cloud-based agent. I know for me, I don't really want people's documents, but they can upload them now, and so I have access to them, but I don't have to worry about shredding anything. I'm not going to lose your tax returns because I never technically had them. But at the same time, utilizing the technology for those things, but like you're saying, giving people expert advice on, like for example, hey, have you thought about how your housing choice and your mortgage plan fits in with your overall retirement plan? Or, are you maxing out your, employee sponsored retirement plan? Are you getting the match? Are you, do you have enough life insurance so that if something, God forbid, were to happen to you, that your, wife and kids wouldn't have to sell the house? Or, do you have disability insurance, which, for young people is actually a greater risk than death to be disabled? And, so just, like you're talking about having, that hub around people where, do you have a good CPA that is, not just doing your taxes, but giving you tax planning advice? Do you have a good financial planner? Do you have a good realtor? Do you have a good estate attorney? And those kinds of things and insurance agents that are really going to help you succeed long term.
That's right. Yeah, no, I mean, having those vendors and partnerships and those connections, are critical because they're extension of you and your business.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, I think that's what's necessary is to be connected in some capacity where again you transact a deal and there's multiple avenues and streams
Yeah.
that you can take advantage of as well. Because again, I mean, we're now seeing nationally that the commission percentages or whatever we're not supposed to talk about, but like
Mm-hmm.
they're reducing. They're it's not what they used to be, which was the universal blanket compensation. So now you
Mm-hmm.
have to explain and have a dialogue about that, and there's more clarity all around that, which is a good thing, in my opinion. But I think you'll be shocked how many agents still don't know how to have a dialogue and they don't even know about the lawsuit. And now they're submitting offers. They're like, "Where's the compensation?" Well, what do you mean I'm not? What do you mean I have to talk to my client about it? There's so many people that are just totally
Right.
oblivious to it, which just is shocker. I mean, this is a career, right? I mean, you need to
Right.
know
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
but those are the ones that'll be out of the business, in my opinion. So
Right, because because there's always a challenge to adapt, whether it's to technology, whether it's to a changing landscape. One of part of our buyer's presentation is really talking through the different ways agents get compensated,
right,
and and I because I think ultimately part of I'm not like a legal scholar, but I think part of the deal was what the powers that be really wanted was for the buyers to be educated, for the
absolutely,
buyers to understand that they are paying something, even though it was being paid on their behalf by the seller. But the seller could have sold the house cheaper if they
absolutely.
weren't paying that. And that the agents are getting paid something, and how they get paid, and what they're doing in exchange for that money. And so part of it, we're talking with our clients, in conjunction with our realtors, Mr. and Mrs. Client, it sounds like you might be a good candidate for our first time home buyer program. And in this, at your price point, it would seem that your buyer's agent compensation will be about X. But the good news is, you're not paying that today.
That's right.
And in the entry level housing market, there's still a lot of sellers that are willing to pay that on your behalf. Now the other thing is, if someone is upsizing or transitioning in that way, and they've got a lot of equity in their house, our conversation is along the lines of, well, first let's pay off all non-mortgage debt. Second, then we look at what you have left to put down. It may be an advantageous strategy to go in with, we're going to do an appraisal gap so that we're giving the seller more than what they're asking for, and we're guaranteeing a certain amount. And then add to, maybe we're paying our buyer's agent, or totally or partially, and and combine that with a fully underwritten client. And now not only are you competing with cash, but you may be beating cash, because a cash buyer might not be thinking of those same kind of strategies.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many ways to construct a very creative deal,
Mm-hmm.
and again, that goes back to being an expert in
Yep.
your field, right? I mean, understanding and educating people and letting them know, hey, there's so many ways to make this work,
Yeah.
um, right? I mean, we can transact and we can compensate them through closing cost credit. We can have
Mm-hmm.
their own consultation, or buyers pay for the compensation. We can cover partial and have portion of compensation going to them. But it all comes down to getting first educating yourself, understanding what's
Yeah.
going on in the market, and then just being able to convey that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, the professional agents like yourself have nothing to fear from all of this. And I think at the end of the day, the consumer is going to be the beneficiary as well, because they're going to get more education. They're going to have to,
That's a great
and
point.
they're going to be
That's
dealing with more professional agents.
first of all, yeah, you said you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you said experts and professionals don't have anything to fear. I'll tell you this: I am more excited about this than anything else, truly.
Mhm.
Now the fact that it's a legal requirement, it's a document that's required to tour buyers. That is so powerful for someone who's an expert and truly
Hmm.
understands the value of their time. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you this too. I mean, there's 1.6 million real estate agents, and there's an 80-20 rule. 20% are transacting 80% of the time,
Yep.
or are responsible for 80% of the volume that's moved around or sold. Um, you know, a brand new agent gets their license, and the first thing they do is they start working with buyers. They go pay Zillow or something like that, a little bit of money, and now just like that they can start showing properties and whatnot. Now, if the consumer is responsible for paying and compensating the agent, at least they're going to go and interview and make sure, hey,
Hmm.
I'll pay you, but are you, expert in this? Do you have experience? Have you transacted before? Because honestly, if I'm going to pay Dennis, then I'm going to go and find the best real estate agent who's going to, be worth this two and a half or three and a half or whatever the number that's
Right.
transacted,
Right.
right? I'm going to at least like figure that out. So I think again, that's where we have to prove our worth by training and educating and
Hmm.
upping the standards there. But I also think you're right. I mean, this is where the consumers have more power, and the whole logic of, well, you hire me and my services are totally free. My compensation is preset and seller pays. Well, it's not the case. Technically, it's the buyers who are bringing the money to the table.
Right.
So it's the buyers that are funding the whole transaction, paying all the fees, right? So it's passed on into it, and then when it's time for them to sell, they're responsible for that as well. So yeah, no, I think again, I think this is a very very exciting change for people, and for me, if I'm working with someone, I know that they're committed. There's a
Yep.
document that's going to be that's an agreement. It's a loyalty agreement or whatever, some sort of agreement in place that if I'm taking time out and I'm going to go and show you properties, well, that you're committed and you're working with me in tandem in that particular scenario. So, yeah, no, we're pretty excited about it. Our entire organization is very excited about it. We've implemented the change. Every single buyer that's in our database, we've informed them about the changes. Any new buyer who wants to work with us, we sit down with them and we tell them, explain them the process. This is what we'll do for you, X, Y, Z. This is our value prop. But in return, this is what has to be done, and this is a legal document. This is not a my rule or a team rule or a brokerage rule. This is an actual law. I mean, and we're not going to break law for any of our clients, right? I mean, we want to make sure we're above board when it comes to that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, and and again, there's just that level of professionalism of, you know, hey, that this is what we're required to do, but we're glad that we're required to do it because we have no problem explaining our value and explaining what we're doing, and because I think that the media tends to boil everything down to sound bites, and sometimes people I think get the idea, well, I could do this myself, and it's like, well, I could work on my own car too, but if I tried to do that, it would take me probably 10 times as long and cost me 5 times as much than
Yeah,
just taking it to someone who actually knows what they're doing. Plus the frustration factor of the fact that I'm totally out of my league. And, because things aren't as easy as they might look on HGTV or
right.
whatever. You
Technically,
know,
every disease and every surgery I can do. I can go on WebMD or I can do it. But would I be willing to take that risk? Absolutely not. I mean, these are some of the largest transactions that people
right.
are going to transact on in their lifetime sometimes, right? This is the
Yeah,
biggest for some the only asset, and just not finding or hiring the professional who knows what they're doing could cost them thousands of dollars.
right, right. Yeah, and that investment, like you're saying, could save you tens of thousands of dollars. And I don't think I've ever heard someone say, "Hey, give me the name of the cheapest divorce attorney that you know." Right? It's like when it's something big and something important, or if your mom was going to have open heart surgery,
Find the
would you,
cheapest cardiologist.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That guy just came out of medical school. He'll do it
Yeah,
cheaper. It's like, no, I want that guy that's going to be retiring in 2 weeks and he's
right.
done
Welcome
tens of
to
thousands
episode
of
two.
procedures.
Right. 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
very good. So appreciate the opportunity to get together with you here. Just to kind of reiterate, what are some things that you would say to newer agents coming in that want to be committed and be successful like you?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. I would say, A, understand that it's a full-time gig. It's more than a full-time, it's a business, right? So It's not a 10-hour, it's not a part-time job, it's not a side hustle,
Hmm.
right? Don't even get in the business, just shadow or become an intern. And if you want it as a side hustle, it's not a 40-hour job, it's a 50, 60, 70-hour a week career that you have to build.
Hmm.
The first couple of years are going to have no balance. The balance comes in once your database is established, and maybe year 3, 4, 5, then you can have
Hmm.
a little bit more balance. But the first few years, especially in this environment where there's so much competition, there's very limited balance. So understand that you're starting a business. You have to be an entrepreneur. You have to wear multiple hats.
Hmm.
There's zero accountability. You have to hold yourself accountable every single day. No one's gonna call you and be like, "Hey, are you showing up or no? You have to be there. You have to have a routine. You have to be extremely disciplined. There's no such thing as motivation. You can be motivated one day, next week you're not motivated. But if you're
Yeah.
disciplined, then that'll be the peak performance path, as Brian Buffini would say, right? And every day you have to know there has to be a set agenda for that. Prospecting is top of the pyramid. That's something
Yep.
that must be done. If there's only one thing someone could do, that has to be prospecting in some capacity. We're sales
Yeah.
associates. My job is to prospect and find sales or leads that are gonna
Yeah.
turn to sales. And again, that's really what I would say is understand what the perfect calendar of a top producing real estate agent looks like, and then mimic that as much as
Yep.
possible.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of resistance. There's going to be days when you're going to flake out, but that's where you have to be disciplined enough to fight that, because there's a lot of success on the other side of fear and procrastination, I guess.
Yeah.
So I would just say understand your Pareto rule, understand your 80-20 rule. What I mean
Yep.
by that is 20% of tasks and activities that we need to do on a daily basis that'll move the needle 80% of the time.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
reason there's 87% failure rate in real estate is because people are focused on 80% of the activities and tasks that move the needle less than 20% of the time.
Yep.
So understand what the Pareto rule is. There's only a handful of Pareto rules. There's prospecting, there's open houses, there's
Hmm.
break bread, there's network events, there's training and educating, and a handful of things that you have to do: cold calling, prospecting, physical expired, canceled. Or if you're not into cold calling, then work your sphere and past clients and database and build that, events and things like that. Those are the 20% of the activities that will move the
Yep.
needle 80. And then if you can get past the first couple of years and have a routine and hold yourself accountable, then this business is one of the most rewarding, lucrative businesses that exists. I mean, it's $500, $600, and a handful of hours, like what, 90 or so hours, and you can earn more than an actual physician. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I mean, that the bar is so low, and that's why
Yeah.
there's 1.6 million people, but it's really 10-20% that are actually transacting majority of the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think that if you, the stat I heard is if you help 8 or more families a year, you're in like the top 4% of
The
realtors.
average realtor will sell 5 homes.
Yeah.
67. Here's another crazy fact this year: 67%. What is today, right? It's October 10, 2020. 67% of real estate agents have not transacted on a single transaction. They've
Yeah.
not sold a single home. Year to date, 67%.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of that's what I mean is over the course of next 7 or 10 years, a lot of real estate agents just can survive. And that's why it was important for us, Dennis, to not only just be brand conscious, but really be business savvy.
Yep.
Bottom line, we had to make this move because we wanted to make sure that we're not leaving money on the table, and at all these brick and mortars. Someone's paying for the brick and mortar. Someone's paying for
Yeah.
the human capital. Someone's run the brokerage has got to make money. They're the publicly traded
Hmm.
company, gonna show the profits. At the end of the day, it's the business owner, it's the entrepreneur that's leaving
Yep.
all that on the table. And for us, it just was not feasible anymore. That's why we're super excited here. It's a new cloud-based space is the hottest space right now in real estate. It's popping. I mean, you look at EXPs and the
Hmm.
real LPT and Fathom and Epic and all these companies that are popping up. They're popping up for a reason. I mean, there's demand for it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Well, hey, I know there's going to be a lot of people that love to pick your brain about buying and selling real estate and what you're doing to be so successful. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so Instagram, of course, it's Rafay _Qamar. So it's Qamar. Our Instagram for our team, the handle is Qamar, QAMAR_group. You can email me. It's Rafay@QamarGroup.com, or check out our website, which is QamarGroup.com, and then click on contact us, and I'll reach out.
Love it. Love it. Well, I want to thank everyone for tuning in here today to the Financial Advantage. We are powered by the Wells Funding Group. You can reach us at 219-230-8400. We'd love it if you would like and subscribe to the channel, as well as share this episode with 10 or 15 people that want to learn more about entrepreneurship and real estate. And Rafay, thank you again for joining us here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.